answers, but I am a father to 2 girls, and until I had daughters, I didn't realize there were 2 sets of rules. A boys' club and then the rest. A balance is happening, but not at a speed that I would like. I recently watched the Netflix documentary on Martha Stewart, and I recommend everybody watch that documentary. And she was ruthless, demanding, unscrupulous, and every step of the way she was demonized, vilified for her success. When men in the same position are called cutthroat, bulletproof, entrepreneurial, and stand their ground. So there are clearly 2 sets of rules. This is not a level playing field. Well, that's the emotional part of my speech. Let's have a look at some figures. 95% of men between the ages of 25 and 54 are employed, but just 52% of women are. This is from the OECD. Mostly rich countries share 91% of men and 75% of women, and that's the G7. What explains the gap for the economy as a whole? In 2022, women's gross hourly earnings were on average 12% below those of men in European Union, and 13.2% in the euro area. Across EU member states, the gender pay gap varied by 22 percentage points, ranging from 0.7 in Luxembourg, of course, to 21.3% in Estonia. So, you've heard those figures, and they are astonishing. It's not a level playing field. But I'm not going to tell you my stories. I'm going to let each one of my wonderful panelists introduce themselves and tell us a little bit more about themselves, starting with you, Alena.
Okay, thank you for having me again. Thank you for the invitation. So I'm CEO of a company that is engaged in the textile industry, chemistry, international trade, basically from every range area that you can imagine manufacturing. It's a very complex and very difficult business. Except for that, and the main product is polypropylene yarn, which I believe everybody knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, and except for that, I am as well in the board of Terichem Tervakovsky, which is a BOPP film. And I'm as well chairman of the board in a company in Lutz Plasmas in Lutsk, where I'm as well directing our daughter company that is producing as well polypropylene yarn. So it's a very complex area that I am managing. It's very hard. It's a very difficult environment, but yes, I'm very proud that I'm there, and I think there is a lot of challenges in this world, but we are there to fight them.
Thank you, Alena. And on to you, Marta. I'm very thankful for you for coming from the Czech Republic, and as a last-minute replacement for someone we had, but a perfect replacement we have in your case.
We'll see. Anyway, thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marta Guthová. I am CEO of Czech Aviation Training Center, which is a professional training center for pilots, cabin crew, mechanics. Also, just recently, together with many lovely ladies from Czech Republic, we founded Association Women in Aviation. And our goal is to inspire and help many young ladies to join our industry. I truly believe there is plenty of them in the industry who would like to enter airline industry, and we need to help them to also not just to enter but get to managerial position, because I believe it's a lovely area where everybody can enjoy the entire work life.
Thank you, Marta. Zsuzsa?
So good afternoon, everyone. I hope you have a great time in this beautiful city. My name is Zsuzsa Beke. I work for a Hungarian-based pharmaceutical industry called Gedeon Richter. We are a Hungarian-based multinational pharmaceutical company, being present in over 35 countries. And I'm responsible for global communication, government relations, CSR. For us, women are very important because more than 30% of our global sales, that accounts for 2.5 billion euros right now, comes from gynecological products. So actually Richter is one of the leading companies worldwide, not only in Europe, in female healthcare. So for us, women are very important, not only from the point of view of providing gynecologists with state-of-the-art products, but as well we have launched several programs in all the markets where we are present. supporting women, not only the healthcare well-being, but psychological well-being of women. So we've been operating this kind of programs, what we call Richter for women, for more than 10 years now. So this topic is very close to us and to the company as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, and of course an integral part of our conference with Allegro, Marta.
Thank you. Hello everyone. My name is Marta Mikliszańska. I'm the director for the group, the director of Public Affairs and ESG. And today I will be having a pleasure to cover maybe this tech industry challenges when it comes to women's leadership. So I think it might be interesting because there are many challenges, as you can suppose. I represent Allegro. We are a 25-year European marketplace, born in Poland in one of the garages as a startup in Poznań. We are a platform who's matchmaking consumers and sellers. And 2 years ago, we've expanded internationally. So we are not operating in Poland anymore. We are also in Czechia, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia. And a few weeks ago, we've also launched our operations in Hungary. So I'm really happy to be here with you. Really happy to share my story also, and the story of many women in Allegro. Maybe to discuss some points, what can be done, what we can do to improve and empower women in this very demanding male environment. It's not just a tech environment, but I think politics and economy is general. A great challenge to women to progress and to be promoted. So really happy to share our ideas.
Thank you very much, Marta. I want to touch on something Linda and Zsuzsa were discussing a little bit before we even started our panel. Is I had to fight for the inclusion for this panel. People eyebrows were starting to raise, and one of the challenges we have as the organizers of the Visegrad for Business Conference is not that there are not amazing women doing amazing things in business. It's just that it's not that common. And we're trying to find the brighter stars in industry across all the sectors. We've got manufacturing and chemistry, which isn't a traditionally female business. We've got aviation, which isn't a traditionally female business. Pharmaceutical, yes, your end user is predominantly female. And e-commerce also, traditionally not a female-oriented business. So we've got four examples of women succeeding in industries that aren't traditionally female strongholds, so to say. So I guess the question to you is, do we still need panels like this in 2024? Or should it just be taken for granted? All of you. Should it just be that women are just titans of industry, top of the food chain now, everything's an equal playing field, or do we still need to push the envelope? Well, I'll start with you, Marta.
Shall I? Okay. Yes, I think we still have to discuss what can be done and what we can do to empower women. Of course, I'm not a great fan of the panel completed only by women, comprised of women.
Well, I
like this very much diversity angle, so we can really connect different perspectives and show different angles from very diverse positions. I think this panel discussion and my colleagues from panels are also great, and it would be great to show all the perspectives from different 4 countries and from different sectors. So I think it's a great pleasure to be here, but I think there are still a lot of challenges, and we need to also engage men into this discussion, and I think there's still so much to be done. I mean, the workplace conditions are getting better,
yep.
But there's still so much to be done in terms of those pressing issues for women that I could share with you some of them. So it's like unconscious gender bias. It's like this work and private life balance. So family demands, how to share it with the pressure of your professional life, and how to, if you want to get promoted, and of course the gender pay gap. So inequality in compensation is still a pressing issue, and of course there's this new European legislation about it, so we are waiting for this new directive to be implemented, but still we know that there is so much to be done. To just give you an example, we know that when it comes to women in tech, the global gender gap is now 68%. And it will take 130 years to reach the full parity. This is something that really struck me when I saw this. So
that's unfeasible. So in terms of Allegro, what are the directives and the initiatives that you implement at a corporate level to ensure that there is a level playing field?
Well, the thing is that at Allegro we have the women distribution is in tech is 27 women, and only 27% of women are in tech, and only 15% of them are in leadership positions. So I think this is something that is really needs to be improved. When we speak about the representation of women in company itself, it's unfortunately this representation of women reduces with the level of seniority. So of course we have a great women representation, very high at lower level of careers, so it's level 1 and 3, but when it decreases, unfortunately, when the increase in career levels are coming. So women represent now 24% of leaders and 10% of executive teams. So I can tell you there is so much to be done, and also to think how we can address this issue, and how we can empower women to raise and to grow within the organization.
We'll come to solutions and suggestions in a bit, but let's hear a little bit more about Gedeon Richter and that journey also for you, and what the figures look like there in terms of proportionality and stuff.
Yeah. So we are talking a lot about this issue. And actually, I think that the situation has not really improved significantly in the past few years. Just a few figures. In Hungary, the overall employment of women is roughly 43%, but only 13% of women are employed in tech sectors. It's amazingly low, and there was recently a research concluded to find out the reason why is that yeah. why are women not interested in this STEAM sector, and the result of this survey was that partly because women in education. So in education, the STEAM industry, the STEAM sector. Doesn't seem for women attractive enough. They are not interested. That was one of the reasons that was given by those who took part in the research. The other answer was that there are no role models in the STEAM industry. STEAM means technology, science, engineering, and mathematics. So they said that they are missing the real female role models in this sector. The third reason was that it is the lack of self-esteem. So many women think that they are not good enough, their knowledge is not good enough to be employed in this sector. Actually, just another figure, in Europe, within the EU, roughly 50 million researchers are employed and engineers, and out of these 15 millions, less than 30% are women. Oh. In the overall, that's the latest EU figures which we could find, so women think that in these areas they cannot be successful.
Why is it, and I'm going to ask all of you this, but why do we, I'm going to be careful how I phrase this. It's not like men look for male role models. I don't immediately think, oh, Lucas Parizek is a male role model. I hope I can emulate his success one day. I think we try and carve our own path. Is it something that's specifically unique, or if you need a trailblazer like Elon Musk would be, there'd be a female version of Elon Musk, more people would be interested in space tech, for example?
Actually, we have a research what we are doing every week, that every year in Central Eastern Europe and in Western European countries where we have a direct presence, what we call Women Wellbeing Index. And this is a very comprehensive research. And here we have found every year when we are making this research that especially in Central Eastern European countries, the self-esteem of women is dominantly less than in Western European countries, not to mention, for example, Nordics. So I think that this might be one of the reasons, for sure.
Thank you. Marta, aviation is definitely not a traditionally male-oriented business. And I know you've set up this association specifically tailored or catered to help, I guess, the environment of women in aviation. When you started out in this business, however many years ago, it must have been a hell of a challenge. You're now flying successfully through your gears into the next generation. But honestly, it must have been a struggle at the beginning. Don't say no. It was easy.
I didn't find it difficult. But I was supported by very wise and very strong men. I was promoted to board position of the Prague airport by men. Even in previous jobs, I was always promoted by men. And
that's also
those were wise men, because there were no women to promote me in the time. By the way, the director of the Prague airport who employed me there, she was a woman. However, she was removed by the government within 1 year. She was very strong and very wise woman. I am still in contact with her, and I owe her a lot, because she taught me many things. But I believe it's also about us. I believe that everybody in the room understands that women have two jobs, 2 full-time jobs, if they are standard women. Behind every man, there's a woman, because even if you don't have a very strong wife, you have a very strong mother. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And that's something we have to understand. And many of you, if you think about your childhood, how much time your mother dedicated to you, how much time your father dedicated to you. And this is one of the answers. And we have to understand that it's not about balance at work. It's also about balance at home. And I have to thank to my partner, because when I told him we are having a child, and he said, okay, well, great, so you go half a year home, and then I will go half a year home. I said, no way. First of all, the half a year you would be at home with my child, it would be a nightmare for me. And second of all, we both will be happy if we are going to do everything what we enjoy. So he actually was a very strong man. He allowed me to go to work very shortly after our child was born. And that's not standard in our countries. It's absolutely not standard, and it's not acceptable by many families. And this is, I think the mindset has to start with how the children are brought up. If they understand that the role of mother and the father, even it's very different, and we each have a different opinion how to bring up our son and how certain things should be happening. He plays the football with him, I go to theater with him. However, we both work full-time, and I get a great support from my colleagues, from my family, from everyone. And I think that if we start talking about how to bring more ladies to technology, how it's difficult. It's much easier to study art or languages or something like that. Well, for some people, you have a lot of, you have in Czech Republic, we have increasing number of graduates from social science than from mathematical science. And we need to bring the children from very little age to be interested in these industries and build the awareness that they can do it. And if they are man or lady, it doesn't, or girl, it doesn't really matter. The inspiration needs to be focused at both of the genders. However, we need to help the ladies and girls not to be afraid, because unfortunately, in many times, it's the family's fault because they are told they will not succeed.
It's very interesting you say that, what you mentioned about a strong mother, and I'm now thinking that I've got an Asian mother and a Slovak wife. I know exactly what it is to have strong women in my life. A lot of pressure there. I'll be paying a therapist for the rest of my life. So I definitely know how that feels. One statistic that I wanted to bring, and I'm glad Alena's here. Chemosvit is one of the leading companies in Slovakia in terms of corporate social responsibility. They responded with Turkey with aid. They're one of the first companies to help in Ukraine. If there was ever a company in Slovakia that's focused was not just business, was also having good core human values. It must be difficult also, Alena, to be a woman on a board. In fact, you mentioned 4 or 5 boards that you sit on, director here, board member there. How do you have time to balance everything? I don't, is the answer.
I am trying to, yeah. It's difficult to sit on the boards where you're the only woman, certainly. Of course, I was there elected as well by men, but it's still, you are there only one, you have different perspective, you have different opinion, you are trying to bring some diversity there. But yes, it's a balance that you have to try to keep and try to keep between the life at home. My husband is from Mexico, so I have very strong suegra, mother-in-law.
Y yo, la mía también. Fuerte, fuerte, fuerte. Cosiche.
And as well, keeping in mind that they're too far, we have to as well travel and so on. So it's challenging, but I think you can do it, and it's important to have colleagues that are helping you. Especially in my company, I would say I have 50% of women in the managerial position, so I'm trying to keep it 50-50, because there is all the time something good in men, and the women, they're coming with different perspective, with more detail work, with more ideas, with more flexibility, let's say it like that. In terms of Chemosvit holding, let's say it like that, I'm the only director, so there is as well, again, the challenge in this perspective, which they have to work on, let's say it like that. But I think we are going there, we are doing it. Maybe it will take 130 years, as you say.
Ooh.
To get it to 50-50.
Thankfully, by then, I won't have to see my mother-in-law.
But I think it's going, and it's increasing, and it's coming to the better times for women.
Thank you, and I'm glad. Look at that, the managerial quota of 50, that is very unusual, certainly in Slovakia. That must be one of the very few companies that has a 50-50 in managerial position.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Few of them, yeah. And if I may react to your previous question about the panels, if these panels are needed or not, I would say like more equal towards the women would be to be integrated in the previous panels, in the 50-50 configuration.
You don't have to sell me on that. I'd be very happy to have it that way.
To have a perspective or to have an opinion about other topics.
Sure.
So that's for the future something to consider.
100% agreed with you. I'm trying to find women to speak on panels every year in all. But here's my challenge as the organizer of the Visegrad for Business Conference, is reaching out to companies in Poland, in the Czech Republic, in Slovakia, and in Hungary, and finding women in managerial positions isn't as easy as you think.
Zulf, we have this great database of female speakers representing different sectors in Poland, at least. So, next year when you come to Poland, please let me know, and we will find someone to attend the panel.
But I bet it's only in Polish.
No, they speak excellent.
Oh, okay, good. So next year when we have the conference in Poland, Marta will organize it, and there'll be a men panel only.
That's a tempting idea.
Actually, I know we joked a little bit here, but I was looking again at some statistics. 10 of the top Fortune 500 Europe leaders only are women. Now, that is staggeringly low.
Can I add something to what Marta said?
Okay.
Previously, speaking about this work-life balance and how it's holding us back from also from promoting like promotions and developing ourselves. This is something that I found out, that there is no work-life balance at all. I mean, this is an unattainable goal. This is like an utopia. We want to find it, but it never works. So I would rather call it, instead of work-life balance, I would rather call it like managed disequilibrium. So we accept that there must be a disequilibrium, but we have to know how to manage it. So women, leaders, they love their work and they love their children and their families, their partners, right? So when we accept this end, I think this is a great beginning of great start for, you know, really thinking about getting further with your career.
Manage disequilibrium.
Sorry to react. I hope I didn't say work-life balance, because that's something what I'm taught by the young generation, and I explain them that if they want to do some job properly, they have to sometimes not have a work-life balance, because
But they're too busy TikToking.
That's how we got to the places where we got. But all I'm saying is we need to find the woman has 2 jobs, has 2 full-time jobs, and she has to somehow manage. And if she has if she's surrounded by people who understand it, then it will work. I have 40% ladies on the board, unfortunately, because only 40%, because I have a lot of chief pilots there, and we have only 10% of pilots in Czech Republic are women. Compared to, for example, India, where they are already having 30% pilots of women, which is amazing. And Asia is really going totally the right direction. They understand that they don't have enough men, so they have to employ women. So they are encouraging and they are helping them actually to, with their second job, so they can be a pilot and they can operate for the airlines. And they are doing it much better than we are doing it in Europe.
That is true. And I was thinking about what Marta said, the work-life balance, and what both Martas have said. Marta squared is that I tried it out last week. You know, I went home when my wife went to a business conference in Prague. I was at home and I had this conference to organize. I had 2 children at home from school. I had a sick dog. I had a laundry to do. I had to cook. And I rang my wife and I said, I quit. I cannot do this. You can have whatever you want in the future. This is impossible. My job is to look pretty in an office. And I have undying respect for women that can manage to fit both of those things and do it excellently the whole time, because there's no pause in the home stuff, I don't think. We're talking about statistics. We heard a lot of statistics from Zsuzsa. We heard some startling numbers from Marta, also some figures from you on the aviation. We had managerial 50-50 there. But I was looking at some data when we were preparing for this panel and seeing that the average of women in leadership positions in Europe is pretty low, but the average for women in leadership positions in this region is even lower. And I think Linda had a slide on that in her presentation, and how we need to go and invest in the female future leaders of tomorrow. Now, that's a completely different discussion. How do we invest? Now, empowering women is one thing. That's a job we all have to do in this room. But empowering women at a corporate level, how do we go about doing that? And we'll start with you, Zsuzsa.
At my company, I think we cannot be ashamed, because more than 50% of the middle-level management consists of women. But in the executive level, the situation is not that good, because in the executive management, women are really underrepresented. There are only 2 women. One of the 2 is me, and there is the HR director. So
HR is always a woman.
HR is always a woman, yes. But I think when we are talking about diversity, for huge multinational companies listed on stock exchanges, diversity still means the gender issue partly.
Yep.
So that's something we really have to work on, and to find those methods that can urge and help women to take managerial position. Going back a little bit to the data, within the EU, according to the Ecostat, 30% of managerial positions are held by women. And in Hungary, it's very interesting that if we take a look at the number of women who have graduation and the percentage of women who are holding managerial position, we see that somewhere between graduation and being a player in the labor market, women get lost. And I think the main reason is that they simply cannot solve the work-life balance. I think that huge companies in Hungary and in the region and within the EU countries made really significant efforts how to solve this position. And at my company, we have several approaches and several programs. We have part-time job for women. We have flexible working time. We even have a kindergarten.
Amazing.
Which is, I think, it's a huge advantage. We are now thinking about establishing a nursery as well, and those women who come back from motherhood stay 90% at the company in the long term.
It's a good retention.
So I think it's a good sign of how we approach women. But I think really the main problem is the work-life balance. I'm very lucky because I have 3 children, but nevertheless I can be a member of the executive board for many years at Richter. So that means I think that's a good indication that it's possible, but you have to make really significant efforts for this.
Before, I know, Marta, I think you want to say something. I will encourage you to use Slido if you have a question, or if there's anyone in the audience who has a question, please feel free to put your hand up and someone will come and bring a microphone. Does anyone in the audience have a question? In the meantime, I want to ask the audience a question. And this was another thing I researched, which was astonishing. How many women here in the audience have gone to their directors and asked for a pay rise face to face? I can count 4. Maybe that's because there's a bit of disparity here in the audience as well. How many men have gone and asked for a pay rise face to face?
Less.
Oh, come on. No one's asked for a pay rise. Maybe that's a Central European problem. Maybe we found something where there's parity. People are afraid to ask for more money. It was another statistic I found that women were less likely to go and ask for a pay increase when men were more prone to going and asking for a pay increase. As there is some kind of shame, some kind of residual shame in asking for more money as well.
I think this was identified as one of the reasons for the still existing glass ceiling in salary.
Marta, and in terms of Allegro?
Yeah, I wanted to share some maybe ideas or potential solutions how to improve this women leadership within the companies. So of course I'm representing this corporate perspective, but we see this challenge that we have so many managers, but when they want to be promoted, if they want to be promoted, there is this problem. They don't know how to be promoted, how they can be promoted, what kind of competences and skills are required to be promoted. So I think this is something that is really important to have this self-development program for leaders, not just for female leaders, but also for every leader. So we all know what we should achieve and what we should be heading for to get raised or to be promoted or to go to another level of the career within the organization. So I think this very transparent and concise development career programs are very important. Also when it comes to recruitment, sometimes you recruit for those higher positions and you recruit externally instead of giving the space for really great internal talents and choosing the best ones and giving them opportunity to rise. So I think this is also very important. And the third thing I would like to, of course, the supporting of this work-life balance, supporting this flexible hours of working, and also this helping with kindergarten or with nursery, and provided by the entrepreneur. This is something that has been going on in Allegro for years.
Yep.
So this is like quite a natural thing that when you're having those kind of needs, you can ask and consult it with your manager, so you can have this flexible hours, and you can also perform your family duties. So of course it's giving you more space for thinking that you're safe at this professional place where you are. But the last but not least, what I wanted also to raise, it's community building within the organization. Female, women, community building. I think this is very important, that we support each other, that we meet on regular basis to exchange our experience, best practices, our challenges, to discuss it. And I think networking is something that is really needed to go higher and go further. And women, very often, they just skip this networking opportunities, also because they simply don't have time, because they have this second job at home, right? So they say, okay, I'm not going to go for this afternoon, evening networking reception because I need to get back home. And this might be the place where you can really find new opportunities for you to grow. So we also in Allegro, we have this women community. We call it Allegro Women Community, and of course, and we meet on regular basis just to discuss it, and we also invite some female keynote speakers to share their stories, so they could also inspire us. So this is something that I really encourage, especially women who want to be promoted and to go higher, to take this opportunity to network.
I wanted to ask, and this is a question to all of you, is we're very big at this conference in trying to get tangible results. I'm big on ROI and metrics. We want to make this conference work on several levels. It's not just putting bums on seats. It's not just getting politicians to come. It's not just getting fabulous sponsors to come on board as well. It's also about trying to create tangible results. So my challenge to you ladies is to see if there is a potential to collaborate amongst all four of you, so that when we have another conference, that we have a V4 business female entrepreneurship lobby, where you guys can get together next year and help pack that room in Poland with women, and help pack the other panels with women in leadership positions, so that I can get rid of this panel in the future. So my challenge to you, if you will accept it, is all four of you come together and create an association, a V4 business association of women leaders. Are you willing to take that challenge on? Don't say you don't have time.
You think that we need a third job?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We discuss it.
But wouldn't that be good? To take, I mean, who said it today? I think Andre said it in one of the panels today. He goes, I don't need to go to a conference just to sit on a panel and talk and talk and talk. We need action. We need tangible results. It's all very nice coming to a conference in beautiful Budapest and look at that view. It's absolutely stunning. There are worse views in the world, but there has to be some ROI as well. Let's see if we can find tangible results in cooperation together. That's the point of the conference.
I think it's a good idea to collaborate, but I think it's even better to have local programs. What we see in the markets where we are present, that we need local programs. In Poland, we are present with a farm. We have manufacturing there as well in Grodzisk, and we have launched there similar networking programs for women as well. So I think that we really need strong local programs supported by NGOs, supported by local governments, supported by the government. And because in Hungary we have several management organizations for women. I don't know how many we have, a lot. But we really need is to urge companies, to urge the government, and to incorporate the NGOs in this thinking, like we have this kind of approach in the research with ecosystem. So we need a kind of women network ecosystem incorporating all stakeholders. I think this is what might work really.
I know I put you on the spot, but it's okay. That's what I'm here to do. I recently hosted a panel for the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs in Slovakia with the OECD findings for Slovakia, and it made for some very bleak reading in terms of women in leadership positions. I think we can think positively and say the only way is up, but there was one indication that the OECD gave, and that was to reduce maternity time. I think in Slovakia there's protected maternity for 3 years, so not full-time salary, but you have, I think first year as you have protected, and then it's graduated for a period of time depending on how long you've been with the company. Now, I'm asking you, all of you are mothers, right? Could we cut that time down? There are people that could be working, able people who are working who are not. Is it a delicate question or is it acceptable?
Well, as you said, that behind every man is a woman. In this case, behind every woman has to be a strong man.
Yeah.
And that is as well the position of the husbands that they have to take, and they have to change a little bit the mind, where both of them, they have to come and equally share the time with the kids, with the household, with everything. So, of course, 3 years, I think it's too much as well. In Slovakia, I think it's too much time that the woman is outside of the workplace, outside of the development, outside of the new ideas and so on, especially when the technology is going so much forward. So 3 years is too much. But I would say it's on everybody's decision how much time they want to spend with the kid. That they're supposed to not come government to say that. Government's supposed to support the parents, support the mothers as much as possible. And nobody's saying to the ladies in Slovakia that they have to stay there 3 years. They can return after 6 months. Yeah. But there is no infrastructure in Slovakia specifically where they can leave the kids. There are no pre-kindergartens. If they are private, they cost too much money. Sometimes it's not worth for them to even put the kids in the pre-kindergarten because they will not earn that money in the job itself.
So, I can understand in Slovakia it's not always easy to find a kindergarten.
And then, of course, if you're from Bratislava, maybe you will find some, but like I'm from High Tatras in Poprad, there are not so many options. So if they want to push the ladies to go earlier to work, they have to as well work on the infrastructure.
Is that the same in the Czech Republic?
Well, we actually have up to 4 years. But I took 1 week.
You took 1 week?
I had the opposite problem because we are not allowed to come to work within first 6 weeks. But I was on the board member, fully responsible for the business, but I wasn't allowed to come to work by the government. But we have up to 4 years. I have to say, it's very long.
Yep.
And then sometimes you end up having a lot of people on the potential payroll who appear one day and they can decide whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you never know when they are actually coming back, so it's quite difficult to plan your staff levels. Infrastructure is a problem.
Yep.
Basically, nurseries almost are non-existing. They used to work during the communist time. They were pretty much all of them cancelled. Basically, the only way how to go back to work is to have a nanny, which works, but it's expensive, and many people cannot afford it because the nannies cost pretty much the same as they are making. So, infrastructure is one thing. From some of the ladies, I'm sometimes very surprised because they are really going for manager position, and then they have a child and they simply say, see you in next 4 years. So, I think it's everybody's decision. We are living in the free world and everybody can some people stay with their children 10 years or 1 month. And it's really up to them. Of course, the payment from the state is decreasing, so the money they are getting at the end it's funny. It's you cannot even spend diapers.
Sure.
It's less than for diapers. So there are even we have that. I would definitely go for shortening this period to maximum 2 years, as it used to be in the past. However, I respect everybody's decision how long they are going to be with their children, because maybe then they come back, they will be happy, and then they will really appreciate the potential of their careers.
I'm just thinking that the thought of spending 4 years with my children would lead me to suicide. I don't think I could do that, so I have nothing but respect. I'd be the first in the Danube.
They call their colleagues shikulka afterwards. They come and said, "Oh, you are so good, you are so good."
Well, actually, I said to someone the other day, I was babysitting my children, and then they reminded me it's not babysitting if it's your children. You are parenting, they told me. So I had to be reminded of that, which is a challenge I guess I have as a father. I want to talk about KPIs, metrics. Now, I was a big admirer, and I'm a massive admirer of Jacinda Ardern, who was the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, Sanna Marin, who was the Prime Minister, I think it was Finland. We don't have enough female in leadership positions. We've mentioned that. But what skill sets do women bring to the table that perhaps men don't possess? Is there a higher level of emotional EQ? Is there a high level of empathy, less impulsive decision making? Or is it a combination of all of those things? What is it specifically that makes a strong, independent female leader diverse to a male leader? I'll start with you, Marta. Or maybe with you, Zsuzsa. No wrong answers here, no wrong answers.
Sorry to say, but I think this was a very bad question. Because because to be honest, I really don't think that there is a difference from this point of view, that there are skills that can be operated better by women, and there are skills that are operated better by men, and women can be more emotional, or men are rational. I have many colleagues, male colleagues, who are very emotional, who are really caring for their team. So I think that's not a specific of women. So when we hire someone, I think
so you don't think women have more soft skills, and you don't think women are better empaths?
I'm not convinced about that.
Interesting.
I'm not really convinced.
So I disagree with you too.
Okay. You don't have to agree with everything.
Of course.
Well, I can only agree with Zsuzsa. I don't think, we have
I can't win, guys.
A great talents, that any man can have. I mean, we are all diverse, and we can bring, the best things that we can do. So, just to give an example, okay, of course, we have this multitasking, running those two jobs. It's something that is maybe not necessarily easy for a man who has to stay for 1 week with two girls. But to give you an example, with my team, we've been doing this Gallup strength test. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. You're doing this test, and it's showing you top 10 or top 5 strengths that you have. It was funny for me, because I also found that positivity was a talent, a strength, which I thought it was just, the part of your personality. But I found it super funny that it was a strength, that it was my second, I think, positional third. So positivity. But we've been doing it, and I have quite a diverse team, so female and man. And we found out that it's less about gender. It's more about those strengths that we have, and how we can also find this synergy between all of us, working as a team. Mm-hmm. So some of us have this achiever, on the first place. It's not me, but I have some achievers at my team, and they're both men, female and men, right? So it's more about how to make this good construction of your team, and how to manage your team well, and how to build something on the strength of the whole team, of the whole organization, of the departments, focusing on real strength and managing those strengths well, so they can really be a synergy to each other.
Complementary.
So, complementary, yeah, this is the word that I was looking for. So let's focus more on competences, skills, and strength than gender, I think.
And what a great way to conclude today's panel on women in industry. I now know what it's like to feel discriminated against, or gang up against me. I'm wrong, you're all right, okay. But I am exceptionally thankful. So if you could give a massive round of applause to Marta, Zsuzsa, Marta and Alena for their comments.
Thank you very much.
And And I would like to thank, again, my panelists for participating in the Women in Industry panel in partnership with Allegro. And now we can break for a coffee for a wee while, and then we return with one of our most pressing issues of the day, the race to net zero and green transition panel with Olivia Blanchard. Please, another round of applause for my panelists.